At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
School choice, rural hospitals, voter access. The 2026 Mississippi Legislature will impact you and your family for years to come. MPB brings you At Issue, a weekly analysis of the legislative session and the issues affecting you with perspectives from both sides of the aisle. Brandon Jones and new At Issue analyst Rebecca Staples join me, Wilson Stribling, every Monday at 5 p.m. only on MPB Think Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Welcome to Deep South Dining on MPB Think Radio. Malcolm White, Carol Palmer, and welcome to the show. And Carol, we're going to do a little Natchez tracing today.
Oh, we are. We have our good, dear friend, Regina, who we talk about all the time on the radio. And finally
have her here.
We have her trapped in the studio.
She's not on the Natchez trace. She is in the
She
MPB.
took the Natchez trace.
Of course she did.
Did, just to see y'all.
Well, today on Deep South Dining, we're talking about what happens when a life becomes a menu. And in the case of this guest, it would be a pretty spectacular menu, Carol.
And this is one of those days when I have no idea where we're going to start. Do we start in Natchez or Alaska or Paris or San Francisco? Do we start with an old tavern that may or may not have a ghost? Mm-hmm. Or do we just start with biscuits?
Well, I'll vote for biscuits.
Of course you will. Our guest is Chef Regina Charboneau, a Natchez native who has spent a lifetime cooking, traveling, entertaining, and collecting stories. And somehow, wherever she wanders, wherever she roams, she somehow makes her way back to Mississippi.
And ain't we the lucky ones?
We are. And her book is 6 Courses, An Entertaining Life. And I love the title because it's not just a cookbook. It's a story of her life told through food, because all the people she's met, all the places she's lived, and the tables she's set, and the meals she remembers. And now she's beginning another chapter with the return of the historic King's Tavern.
I think of it as a delicious memoir.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So, Regina, welcome to the show. We are so incredibly happy that you're here. You brought biscuits. You brought copies of your new book. And I just have to ask, if your life really is a 6-course meal, a 6-course dinner, which course are we on right now?
Oh, my goodness, the dessert phase. I was on the dessert phase, and now I don't know what I was thinking. At 72, I'm reinventing myself as a chef one more time. Kind of the dessert course was coming back to Natchez and having my little cooking school. COVID set us, as so many of my chef friends, kind of rocked our world. But it was okay because I had a little cooking school. We downsized from Twin Oaks.
I'm not going to call it. I'm not going to let you get away with a little cooking school.
Yeah, well,
it's significant.
But
a little
of
cooking
fun.
school.
Oh, it is. It's just fun. I teach biscuits and brunch and whatever Italian classes. It's fun, and it was easy, and no employees and no late nights, so it was nice. And then. The tavern, we kept waiting for it to sail, and we actually buried a St. Joseph statue upside down. Have you ever heard that?
That'll fix it.
Do you know that's like the big lucky thing? And we were walking our dog. I'll tell you this short story, but it's very funny. We were walking our little dog, Rummy, and to Memorial Park, which we do every day. And on the fountain was sitting a St. Joseph statue, because it's right by St. Mary's Cathedral. Who knows how the little St. Joseph statue got there? And there's a Catholic myth about burying St. Joseph upside down to sell your house. So we buried it, and 3 days later, a really good friend of mine called and said, I'd really like to buy the Tavern, but I only will do it if you do something with it. And so he bought it. We're now renting it, leasing, and it's kind of nice not to be the landlord at 72 and to be a tenant. And so,
amen, sister.
Yeah. So,
amen, brother and sister.
So much real estate, keep it simple. But anyway, it's such a great building. It was waiting for us to come back. And
so
we
it's the oldest tavern in Mississippi.
It's the oldest building on the Mississippi River in Mississippi. It's 1789, and definitely the oldest tavern. And probably there's a couple people in Natchez who say theirs is a year old, younger, older, or whatever. But we've always been told, that it's the oldest building in Natchez. And it's just got, I don't know, there's something so special about it. So we were looking for a place to reopen the distillery, and my cooking school I was outgrowing. And so instead of opening it as a traditional restaurant that we had, I've come up with a kind of a new concept. Well, it's my cooking school, and it's probably the most precious looking cooking school with all the old brick and the brick floors, and the kitchen, I made it very homey. But everybody said, well, we want you to cook and we want you to do a restaurant. And I said, but I don't want any employees and I don't want to work that hard.
I don't want insurance.
I don't want all
to
of
pay
that.
Workman's comp
and all of that. So I'm doing Regina's Table on Tuesday nights. And it's whatever I feel like cooking. And because I'm married to a liquor distiller, I can't have a liquor license, which in Mississippi is great because it makes it the Wild West. Everybody can bring their wine in or whatever they want to drink.
Yeah, you're like the luckiest person.
I know, I am. And so I will be cooking, and everybody who comes, they pre-buy a ticket online. They pre-purchase that Tuesday table or the Thursday table, and I limit it to 30 people, and I tell everybody, the only thing you don't have to do for yourself is bus your table and wash the dishes. I've got somebody to do that. But I cook, and they bring their wine in, and the tables are set with water pitchers and wine glasses. And I'm not playing politics of who's sitting with who, and you just find a seat. And everybody gets along like at my dinner parties. So,
yeah, well, that's really simplifying.
Yeah.
I like it.
And what I love doing. So it's like a supper club or dinner. It's really like coming to my house for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which I've had the great pleasure of doing.
And that's why I had to come see you, too, because y'all are so overdue for coming to see me in
Well,
Natchez.
we are, but we really appreciate you. Because in the new miracle of Zoom, people don't have to come, but it's so wonderful to have somebody.
Yeah, we're glad you're here, and we're glad you brought the biscuits.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't, they don't do well over Zoom.
So you were born and raised in Natchez. I think you describe yourself as a seventh-generation Natchezian. Thinking back to your childhood and referencing your book that we're also featuring here, The Six Courses, what are some of your early fond food memories? And I'm thinking about the trip with your dad to get the oysters, which is a great piece in the book.
Thank you. I had that in the back of the book, and my sweet friend Tate Taylor, who all of Mississippi loves, said that needs to go in the front, and I'm glad he told me to do that. I come from, my mother that's where all the Natchez generations come from. Okay. Her side of the family. My father was from South Louisiana. My mother is from a long line of excellent bridge players and hostesses that can't cook at all.
When I was reading that, I was like,
but
Mama doesn't cook.
Mama doesn't cook. She was amazing mom and did so much for Natchez, but she did not want to eat her food. But my dad, coming from Opelousas, Louisiana, was a big influence. But that trip definitely shaped me at an early age for going after the best ingredients. In fact, I can't even tell you how I've been struggling over the past week of what I'm going to serve and what I can find in season and how good is it. And I'm driving my meat purveyor crazy right now. But
yeah, recount the trip, the oyster trip for our listeners.
The oyster trip. So I was about 9 or 10 years old, and also I'm one of 9 children. So whenever you had time with one of the parents by yourself, it was like Christmas and New Year's all rolled into one. My dad said, I'm going to drive down to Cut Off, Louisiana, wherever. Do you want to go with me? And of course I did, to have that time with my dad. And he was going to get oysters, and the whole experience of going there. And he went to 3 different places. They would shuck them. He'd taste them, looking for what he was looking for. He loved a salty, medium oyster. And that experience, and then I got turned on to oysters at 3 years old, when it's my first food memory was eating an oyster, because my father was shucking some, and he said, do you want to taste it? And it's like, no. And he said, well, good, you can't have it. It's for company. And that did it. That did it. It's like, oh, it's for company, then definitely I want it. And I remember basically the taste of saltine crackers and cocktail sauce. My mouth's watering thinking about it. And the taste for the oyster came a lot later, but I was able to cover it up with enough salt and ketchup and horseradish that I loved the taste. And so anyway, we were in South Louisiana, way down at the end of the world, past New Orleans. And he got his oysters, and he bought a bag of satsumas. And he wanted me to taste one. And they were green, and I said, these look terrible. And he said, no. He goes, food does not grow on a tree with a name on it and perfect. This is the real thing. And he peeled it, and I tasted that satsuma. And I've had a fondness for those 2 items. And there's a menu in the book, kind of a tribute to my dad, with a satsuma salad and his crawfish bisque, which he was amazing, known for that. But oysters, I do his oysters, the peppered oysters. I was just in Europe, and they couldn't get the oysters that I wanted. So I ended up taking that same pepper marinade and making a pasta dish out of it that they went crazy for on the boat. But anything that's a food memory of my dad, I just love, and it never fails, and it never disappoints. And he was a great influence.
Such a character. He just jumps off the pages
of
the book. And
he was a character. He was.
Yeah. And tell the listeners a little bit about Opelousas and his family and going there.
Yeah, well, going to visit my great aunts, and that's where I really got a taste for cooking. And but they were. I thought my mother's family was interesting. Well, then you go to South Louisiana. I had lots of interesting relatives. But my great aunts every day cooked for the men in the family, even though there were women in the workplace. Only the men came to their table. And it was Neen, my great aunt, who never married, who was a retired school teacher who was in a wheelchair. And then 2 widows that they all lived in the big house that they grew up in. And they cooked things like stuffed militant with crab, and always a big soup, and homemade ice cream and cakes. And there was a big fig tree right out the back door. And to this day, my favorite ice cream that I make is buttermilk ice cream with fresh figs in it. And
Malcolm?
Yes.
Sounds really
good.
Yum, 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 yum.
Come visit me. I'll make some.
So one thing that I picked up on that I could really relate to with your father was this interest, this background and interest in Creole, Cajun cooking, sort of blended with what I call Southern cooking. And I think of dishes like shrimp and squash
Right.
and how they came together, like lady peas with crab meat and things like that. And reading about your dad, I thought about these dishes that I admire so much that are this intersection of Cajun Creole, Louisiana meets country, growing up like I grew up.
That Natchez has always had that French influence and that New Orleans influence, but then it's still all about fried chicken and purple whole peas on Sunday's table. But when you can throw in some stuffed eggplant on the table, mirliton, definitely those things. Right. It's all out of the garden. And okra. I love okra 100 different ways, and
every way.
Yeah, and shrimp and okra is one of my favorites.
Terrific.
Just stewed over rice and. So,
okay, so we're going to take a break, and you're making me hungry. You're hungry. We're all hungry.
I'm listening to I'm just like mesmerized listening to these dishes.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to begin Regina's travels. That it's full circle before she.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to get her to leave Natchez and go out into the world, and then circle back and come back to Natchez And we're going to talk about her book, her new book. We're going to talk about her cooking school and her sort of reimagining King's Tavern and so many other things.
Wait, and we're going to talk about
biscuits, which we're about to dig into on this break. So we'll be right back with more Deep South Dining right here on MPB Think Radio.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
School choice, rural hospitals, voter access. The 2026 Mississippi Legislature will impact you and your family for years to come. MPB brings you At Issue, a weekly analysis of the legislative session and the issues affecting you with perspectives from both sides of the aisle. Brandon Jones and new At Issue analyst Rebecca Staples join me, Wilson Stribling, every Monday at 5 p.m. only on MPB Think Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Support the programs you love and wear your Mississippi pride on your sleeve. Literally, with the new merch on the MPB shop. Check out our latest drop with apparel from your favorite TV and radio shows, both current and throwback, featuring fan favorites like Next Stop Mississippi, Southern Dish, Ampton Wired, and more. Every purchase you make supports MPB. Visit mpbonline.org and click the shop button at the top to show your support today.
We got the biscuit blues, Carol.
Now, and we're eating biscuits.
We're eating biscuits and having the biscuit blues.
Regina Charboneau's famous biscuits.
And you folks are listening to Deep South Dining on MPB Think Radio. Malcolm White and Carol Palmer. And we wanted you to know that Deep South Dining podcast is brought to you by Mississippi Red Pepper Sauce. Discover more at msredpeppersauce.com. And we appreciate that. Carol, a couple things before we dive back into Regina world.
Excuse me, I'm busy eating biscuits.
Jackie Wilson from Bama Bay Oysters in Mobile will join us to talk about oyster farming. Speaking of oysters, oyster farming and restoration on August 31. She is, to our knowledge, the only female oyster farmer in Alabama. So Jackie
and Malcolm, hats off
Wilson.
To you for tracking her.
I ran her down. Well, Marissa and I ran her down. Also on Labor Day, September 7th, we will not be here.
We'll be on vacation.
We'll be far, far away. We may be in Natchez.
Come on.
But anyway, we want to welcome back our great guest today, our great friend and guest, Regina Charboneau, and I'm got biscuit in my throat here, but we're so glad you're here. Thanks for coming all the way over from Natchez and joining us today. We want to pick up from Natchez, growing up there, and get you to Alaska. So how does this work?
How does one get from Natchez to Alaska?
Well, going to several southern universities and having a better time at each one.
I think I went to one more than you did.
Oh, you did?
I
You
went
got me
to
beat?
Northeast Community College, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Southern.
Okay. I think we're about even, or you may have one on me. So I went to Mississippi State, USM in Natchez, and then when they had the Natchez campus, and then Nichols State, and then LSU. So and never finished. So yeah,
It's a draw.
it's a draw. But had a better time at each one, and I went to Alaska with the idea that I always knew I wanted to go to cooking school in Paris. Always knew from the time I was maybe 12 years old when the Time Life books came out. And I just wanted that. And so I took, what do I find to do in Alaska? Someone who had never cooked professionally, had never been camping, had never really even been on a plane or far away from home. I get a job cooking at a construction camp for 8 men in the bush of Alaska, which, with my Bridge Plains Southern mother, Catholic, that went over really well.
Now, did you or did you not tell your mom you were going to cook in hotels?
Yeah, well,
You were escaping.
That was an indication, yes. I was escaping from a 15-minute marriage, by the way.
Oh,
which
yeah, I
write
forgot about the
that.
15-minute marriage.
The 15-minute, the mini marriage.
Mini marriage.
And you couldn't get any further away in the United States.
Yeah, I worked on it. He left me at a service station in Missoula, Montana, but you have to read the book.
Yeah, you got to read the book.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's a story I don't really enjoy telling because luckily
You had to
in
tell it.
Alaska, but in Alaska, after I came back, I saved my money, went to school in Paris. Well, my husband's then girlfriend introduced us, and we just had our 45th wedding anniversary in Spain. So it worked out. I found the one.
Took a minute.
In Alaska, but took a minute. But anyway, so Alaska was my goal, and it was wild. I talk about it in the book. I was in a cargo plane that went down. It was what they call a crash landing, or what is it? Or anyway, the pilot still had control, but it basically crashed, and that was scary. But I was so driven.
A controlled crash.
Controlled crash, thank you. And so anyway, and then I went to Paris, and that was magical because
How long was it, Alaska?
a year. But I was there for
Out in the
several
bush.
years. Out in the bush a year. I made a year commitment, and I toughed it out.
So you're
and did
doing
it.
salmon and game and
Doing whatever I could, and they would drop off. Helicopters would come in and drop the food off. Well, my first job out in the bush, I was 3 days late getting there because of the controlled crash, and I was in shock, and I didn't even realize it. I was just like a mummy, and I come out there. Well, and of course, the guy who hired me said, "Oh, it's just like cooking in a hotel." Lie, big lie.
Oh, yeah.
Big lie. No outdoor no bathrooms, an outhouse, and open tent. I've got pictures in there of like an open tent. So that was a shock. And then because they had dropped the food off 3 days before I managed to get there, the wild animals had strewn the food all up and down the beach. And I'm going around picking up dented cans and trying to figure out what I'm going to cook for these guys. Luckily, the guys working at the camp became very paternal, I guess. It was all guys, and they were very father-like, and they looked after me, and they teased me because they said, "We can't believe you didn't say a word for like 10 days." I was just in shock. But I wasn't a great cook in those days. I had not been to Paris. But I kind of I always had the touch. And because I came from a long line of people that didn't cook or not very good at housekeeping, I made a deal with the guys. Part of my job was to make their beds in the morning, which I didn't know I had signed up for that. And I said, "Look, I'll make a deal with you. I will have hot homemade muffins made if you make your own bed." So there was negotiation going on to make me happy with the job. And it was, it's something I'll measure the rest of my life
It was
by.
make up your own bed or you don't eat.
You don't eat, that's right. I don't do making up
I don't do
beds.
domestic
Yeah,
work.
I don't,
No.
just
I'm
because
from
I love to
Natchez.
cook. I'm from Natchez, don't you know?
Right.
So you met the shiny new husband in
Alaska.
Alaska.
He had
not
been-
at the camp.
Not at the camp. No. But I knew it was true love when he actually chartered a plane and came out there to see me on a Memorial Day. So that was nice. And then he had been working in London, so when I was going to Paris, we went to Europe together and he kind of helped me get acclimated. But what happened that was so great about Paris is my parents had done a good deed for these 3 Parisian students who had gotten robbed in New Orleans. And so that family insisted on kind of taking me in. And that made my whole Paris experience, knowing this family, and they were longtime Parisians in the art business, and they had a house in the south of France, and they really, all the shaping that my dad did, Arlette, who was like my French mother, shaped me in so many ways. Every house I've ever decorated, every restaurant I've ever decorated always has a lot of Arlette's touch. So, when I say 6 courses, it's all been charmed. I think about growing up in Natchez with like the soup course. And when you go to do an appetizer, you can be adventurous with an appetizer more so than the main course. And Alaska and Paris was my adventure. And then the entree course was San Francisco, where I opened 4 restaurants. Both of my boys were born there. So my family and my restaurant career was the entree course. And then we opened a Biscuits and Blues in Minneapolis. Then Doug took a position in New York, and I call those side dishes. Mm-hmm. And then coming home was the dessert phase. So I don't know what the hell this one coming up is.
Your
I don't know what
first
to call it.
Biscuit and Blues was in San Francisco,
Yes,
right?
yes, still there. We just had I sold it before COVID, thank goodness. And I was just there last year for the 30th anniversary in
that's
February.
really something.
Yeah, it's still there. So it's still there, going strong.
And y'all lived in North Beach in San Francisco,
We
right?
did.
Up
We did.
in the
Without
Italian
children.
neighborhood with
Yeah,
all those
without-
great cafes, which I adore.
I love that. And
Mario's.
Mario's Bohemian Cigar Store.
So many great places.
And Tosca. It was just, I write a lot about that because that was, also talk about shaping me in the way of food. It was, California cuisine was just exploding. I was right there for all of that.
Alice Waters,
Alice, everybody, and Joyce Goldstein and Jeremiah Tower. We were all at a table together all the time. It was great, very supportive group. So that was wonderful. And, I think about San Francisco, it was so fun. But then when Doug took a position in New York and I was able to be in New York, it was the only place I didn't have a restaurant. But that shaped me in another way because there was something so sophisticated about the restaurants there. You never stop learning in this business. And now I'm determined to learn how to make Chinese food, which I've got books and I bought a new wok and I don't know when I'll have time, but I thought, well,
in between courses.
In between courses. But I love food and it, never has failed me. I said I just have to keep recreating myself and my career, but it's been a great journey and still going.
So when you were in New
Mississippi.
York, how old were your kids?
First grade, and first grade, and Luke was in second or third.
Quite an influential time in their lives.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Well, my son Martin lives in New York. I don't think I'm ever going to get him back. He loves living there. He's in Brooklyn now, but he went to NYU. My boys love, especially Martin loves Natchez in New York, the way I do. Those are my 2 favorite places. Jean-Luc is in New Orleans, and he loves New Orleans. And he works at the TV station there and really enjoys it and enjoys his life, his social life in New Orleans. And he loved New York as well. So what was nice, because Doug was there, we had moved back and bought Twin Oaks, and that was my life. I was doing cooking class weekends there. But we were constantly on a plane back and forth to New Orleans. Doug would come home for weekends. We would go there. During the summer, the boys would just camp out. We had a one-bedroom apartment. I called it our college apartment. But New York was at our fingertips, and we were right by the park and Central Park, and just the best memories there. So they were well-rounded.
About Twin Oaks too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Is that still where you reside?
No, we sold
Long
it
ago.
during COVID, and actually a second owner just bought it. So,
But that's really something, taking on a historic house in Natchez.
Which was also like a bed and breakfast store.
Yeah, I called it a bed and whatever, because even though I'm a chef, I never did breakfast. I sent our guests to Dunleith across the street because it was so wonderful. And my boys were wild. I would have had to pay people to stay if they had to eat breakfast with my boys. And they're both great men now and grown up. But it was great. And we have so many happy memories there. But COVID for Natchez, and everybody knows, everything stopped because it's the riverboats and the tourism that keep us going. And all my businesses, even though we had several businesses in Natchez, they were all dependent on that. But we kind of regrouped and kept moving and
Pivot is the
pivot.
Yes.
Oh my God, talk about pivot. Talk about cooking Southern food on a European cruise and having to pivot. I didn't have biscuits on my menu. I was guest chef, and I did a couple.
Now, this is just recently.
Just recently, a few weeks ago. And so I'm having to, I wanted to do things that made sense for the region, and with a few Southern twists. But I said, I can't do biscuits because I know I'm not going to be able to get the ingredients that I need. Well, all the guests read my bio, and they all wanted biscuits. So talk about having to pivot. No, these biscuits bother me, the fact that I cooked them at noon to make it here, and then we heated them a little for you. So I like them fresh out of the oven.
We like them just fine.
You can heat them up. Yeah. But anyway, I had to make biscuits with having to thin yogurt out to make it like faux buttermilk, and they came out okay, but they were not my biscuits. But people didn't know the difference.
Now,
they weren't
your biscuits,
flour.
The flour was okay.
It was okay.
It was okay.
The oil,
Yeah.
it's olive oil.
No.
What's this
margarine.
about olive oil?
Margarine.
Margarine. You never used olive oil.
No.
I thought when you were in Europe you used.
No, I didn't. But I used all butter in Europe. And the thing about using all butter, and I could come take a biscuit class. I can teach you everything. But the beauty of my biscuits is you make them and you punch them out and you freeze them. And they have to be cooked from the freezer into the muffin tin into the oven. So you always have them on hand. So if you come visit me, I always have
What makes the
frozen
layer?
biscuits.
How do you get them to layer?
Laminating
Okay.
by rolling and folding in thirds 8 times. And so, but the margarine came, I had never made a biscuit until I was in Paris. And my chef friends there wanted biscuits. Well, I go out to look for ingredients, and all-purpose flour, no problem, baking powder, even buttermilk I could find there, butter, no problem. But I knew, they were typically made with Crisco. Mm-hmm. And I had taken a pastry course, and we used 3 parts margarine to 1 part butter to make Danish pastries. And they were flakier, and the chef said, margarine makes them flaky, butter makes them rich, and you combine them for this reason. Well, I did that, and they came out so well. That's the recipe I've been doing. Then with 2 little boys, 2 restaurants. When I had Regina's at the Regis, which will always be my favorite restaurant, which was like a Sardi's.
That was San Francisco.
San Francisco, Sardi's West. And then I go to open Regina's Sonoma. I had a 2-year-old, and our oldest son, Jean-Luc, was adopted. And so I'm commuting an hour and a half, opening a new restaurant. I would get back to the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was so beautiful. I would get all teary while I was 4 months pregnant. So, surprise.
Hello.
Surprise. So I have 2 little boys, 2 restaurants an hour and a half apart. So that's a whole chapter. But I had to sell Sonoma.
Got to buy the book to get to the
them,
nitty-gritty.
So many stories.
So many stories. So back, one more thing on the biscuits. Mm-hmm. Explain to our listeners the difference between margarine and butter and why they do what they do in the biscuit.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm always amazed at how many people in my class go, well, what's the difference? Well, it's like day and night. Margarine, and you don't want to do too much research on margarine.
No, you don't.
It's not really that healthy, or it's pretty bad. But it makes a damn good biscuit. So you can overlook it and use moderation. Have one biscuit instead of 3. But so margarine or Crisco or, that vegetable oil.
That family.
Makes it flaky. And butter makes it rich. But if I made those with all butter, they would be crumbly, more like a scone, and it changes the texture. So I do eat healthy and cook healthy a lot, and we read labels, Doug and I, all the time. But I just have to overlook the margarine thing because it just makes such a good biscuit that
it's the secret ingredient.
It is, and it works. So also the tea towel technique that I developed, where you use a tea towel to roll and fold, and you'll just have to come.
You have to come to the cooking class.
You have to come to the cooking class because I send you home with all the tools you need.
So, did you have a biscuit and blues in Natchez at one time?
My brother Peter for 25 years, and he just sold it, but it's still going.
Where the old
new
Scrooge's
owners.
was?
Exactly.
Which I opened for the Lathams.
I forgot about that.
Remember, I came over that, I think it
Yes.
was over the summer. I lived there for like 3 months under the
Yeah.
hill, and we opened the Scrooge's, which lasted, I don't
Several
know,
years.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. And then
and my brother Peter traded 2 health clubs for the restaurant or something. I said, let me help you.
Big
Why
business.
don't you, here, I'm going to give you a prototype, do biscuits and blues.
Yeah.
So his was more, biscuits and blues in San Francisco was a blues club that happened to have some good food. His was a restaurant that happened to have blues,
right.
in the different communities, but he did really well with it for years.
Well, so who are some of the blues players who came through in San Francisco?
Oh my goodness, so many. Charles Brown and Ruth Brown, some older ones. I mean, gosh, it's almost like name it. And Bonnie Raitt came just to sit in, to be there.
Charlie Musselwhite, was he around?
Charlie Musselwhite, I booked him a lot.
He was between Mississippi and
Right,
San
I
Francisco.
booked Charlie several times. Even Elvis Costello played once. It was just a mixed bag, but my concept is I was homesick for Mississippi blues and fried chicken and biscuits, and that was the concept. And my thing there was I catered to a lot of rock stars in my career, and Regina's at the Regis had an amazing clientele of those people. I wanted to treat blues players like rock stars and have a green room and treat them really well and feed them well. And then, the Stones came to Biscuits and Blues. And
We want to know what they ate.
well, Mick ate at my house in Natchez a couple of times. He's the only person who ever ate dinner and called the next day.
Was that during the Get On Up
That
James
was the Get
Brown
On Up.
biopic?
And he called and said, do you have leftovers? And how many people have had Mick Jagger?
Yeah.
Have you heard his new song, his new album? Have you heard
I
anything?
haven't.
He gives Natchez a big shout out in a song.
Great.
Oh, wow.
He does. Natchez, Mississippi. He loved it.
When I think about you in general, I think about Regina, I think about your life. You've had famous people in your restaurants or with their feet under your dining room table. I mean, and they're just people.
Oh, yeah.
And they always, anybody that's famous or in Mississippi finds their way somehow to your doorstep to eat. And it always amazes me, all the different people you fed.
Well, Bobby Harling, who lives in Natchez, Louisiana, who wrote Still Magnolias, is coming to my opening on the 1st because he has only missed one restaurant opening of mine. And that was Regina's at the Regis, and that's where we met.
All right.
That is something.
Yeah, and that's sweet. But one of the things, and this is growing up in Natchez and being a Mississippian, hospitality is just in our blood. And one of the things that I always did, it didn't matter whether Bruce Springsteen or John Bon Jovi or Shirley MacLaine, it didn't matter who was at a table. I made my way to every table in the restaurant every night to say hello, to everybody. I didn't like go and hover at the cool,
Right,
table where
right.
everybody wanted, because it would have been so rude, and it just didn't who I am. And so that really helped. Also, it made those people feel not normal,
Yes.
normal,
Yeah.
and because
Yeah, it works
sometimes
both ways, yeah.
I remember one time Tim Curry had to call to try to get somebody into my restaurant, and it was, oh my goodness, Helen Hunt was a
I
young
love
struggling
her.
actress. She was like no one at this time, and Matthew Broderick. And I literally, Tim called because he was doing voiceovers at Hanna-Barbera, and that's her dad worked there. And I had to get a table of 2 and squeeze it in because I couldn't say no to people, and it didn't matter. But then they became, they remained loyal people, loyal guests. But
Okay, we got to take a break.
know.
We got to get this one more break in, then we'll come back and wrap up the discussion. And yes, we're name dropping because we've done it. Regina Charboneau is with us, chef and raconteur. We're glad you're here. Thanks for coming over from Natchez. And we'll take a short break and be right back with more Regina Charboneau and Deep South Dining.
Together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
Mississippi is a place of deep roots where every story matters and every voice can be heard. At MPB, we stand with our local communities, bringing you the voices of those who shape our state through local programming that reflects our culture across small towns to big cities, from the Delta to the coast. We tell the stories that define us, from the music that carries our voices to the leaders who inspire change. MPB brings you the heart of Mississippi, celebrating Mississippi one story at a time. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Welcome back to Deep South Dining on MPB Think Radio, wrapping up our delightful and delicious conversation with our great friend from over and around Natchez, Mississippi, on the bluff, Regina Charboneau. She has a new book called 6 Courses, An Entertaining Life. She's also reopening King's Tavern, the oldest inn in Mississippi, perhaps the oldest building, maybe commercial building. But we're so happy to have you here, and we're looking forward to hearing about all your new adventures. And we invite everyone to get a copy of her book and read about her full life.
Yeah, we have loved this book. Malcolm and I got it a couple of weeks ago from our local independent bookstore, Lemuria, and it is a significant book.
Yes.
This ain't no little bitty cookbook. This is a
How many recipes
big
we got
cookbook.
here?
I think close to 200.
Yeah, it's a bunch. I haven't even gotten to the recipes.
call
I'm
it-
reading
with,
the
with
memoir.
The story.
I call
the
it
memoir is the
a
best.
chefography.
A chefography.
Yeah,
Perfect.
But it's beautiful, it's colorful, and it has heft, Malcolm.
It does. It does indeed. In so many ways.
Yes.
So tell us about the the reopening of King's Tavern and the cooking classes and the events that you're going to have there, so that any of our listeners might want to take a day trip.
Well, my husband and I joke that it's the oldest strip mall in America because we've taken it and divided it up. So the downstairs of the Tavern, which is so charming, is my cooking school, and then when I'll do my little dinners, my Regina's table dinners. And then
those are on Tuesdays.
That's on Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
And then in my classes, I've got a big schedule. You can go online and reginaskitchen.com and see the schedule of events. And then our rum distillery, which we will be making more than rum. When I say we, it's my husband. That's on the corner, and then you'll come upstairs to the tasting room. And on the third floor, we're creating a little museum of King's Tavern with the history of the Trace and the Tavern and the Ghost and all of that. So it's a little self-guided room people can go look at. So we really love welcoming people to Natchez, and we don't want them to feel they can't come to the Tavern, even though I'm not open every day, 7 days a week. It'll be accessible a lot of the time.
And this is next week, isn't it?
Oh yeah. yeah. But I've already started doing cooking classes there.
Okay.
So I'll do my tables starting the 1st. I kept pushing that back.
Do you do the same cooking classes? I know you do an Italian, or do you change it up from time to time?
The one what you can always count on a Saturday is my biscuit and brunch class, which is so fun. And all my classes, you eat what we cook. So it's like coming again for a great meal and learning a lot.
So they're demo classes or hands-on?
Hands-on. I get people, I put an apron on you and you learn the techniques. You learn a lot and then you get to eat it. And so the brunch class is every Saturday from 10 to 12. And then at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoons, I just do a biscuit class, which fits in if people are touring and doing different things in Natchez. They can take an hour and really come and learn biscuits. And then my Friday nights, I do kind of a rotation of a lot of different. I do everything from a Japanese ramen party to mainly because people want to come eat my ramen, and then I do a Southern Italian dinner. I do a classic French class dinner, and I'm always coming up with new classes and fun things to teach.
And soon, I guess you'll be doing a Chinese.
Well, I think I'd get kicked out of China right now. I've read so much about fried rice. I mean, it's the most complicated cuisine I've ever delved into. But I don't know if I'm going to. Now I'm kind of giving up that free time that I had time. I was going to learn a new cuisine and do it. I think I'll be going out to Chinese
Unbelievable that you would pick Chinese.
Well, she lived close to Chinatown at one time.
I did. I miss Chinese food. There's none in Natchez.
I know. That would be the reason to do it.
Yeah, we have a great Thai restaurant, and I cook Japanese. I make ramen. I do Japanese curry. So, that. And I'll probably do like a Japanese curry dinner sometime. But
Chinese is daunting.
It's
because
daunting.
There's so many regions.
Yeah.
I mean, what is Chinese food?
Yeah, and it's complicated. And I even bought this New York Times, well, my nephew sent it to me, The Wok. And if you start reading that book, and it's so intimidating. And I don't easily get, it's like, I can learn anything, I can cook anything. But Chinese is an adventure. So I think last time I had a really great Chinese dinner was at Andrew Zimmern's house. So I think I have to wait to be invited back there to have it. And also every time I go to San Francisco, and even New Orleans has some great Chinese restaurants. So I think I'll just go for takeout with my new life.
Well, you say that Natchez and New York are your favorite places. What are some of your favorite foods and recipes, particularly in the book? If you had to pick a few.
Well, the peppered oysters, for sure.
Your dad's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the peppered oysters. I love my brisket pizza. In fact, it's hard for me not to do pizza at the Tavern because every morning I go in.
Well, you used to do pizza at the Tavern.
I did there. And every morning I walk in, when I walk into the Tavern now, I have the little folding sign that we used to put out on the sidewalk, and it says, 12,220 brisket flatbreads sold. And that's when we closed. So I think I might do a wood-fired pizza class on a Saturday afternoon because I've got my wood-fired oven.
I was going to say, it already has the
oven. Oh, it's ready,
oven.
yeah. So I might do that. So I love that. I love, so many of the recipes. I go through phases. The chocolate madeleines are great. And my almond plum tart is so easy. You do the whole thing in a food processor in 2 steps. It's great, and it's foolproof. It works so well. I love that recipe. So I love desserts, but I like them really easy because I spend so much time on the main dishes. So I've got my chocolate
read
madeleines.
a lot to come up with new recipes and
I eat a lot. I eat. I go searching for food, and I get inspired everywhere I go. I go, oh my God, I love this, but I think I'd change this a little bit. And the ramen is funny to me because my friend Josh Harmon, who's a really talented chef, young chef from Dallas, we decided to do a ramen night at Regina's Kitchen on Main Street before COVID. And we laughed so hard, and we just were making our broths, not knowing any rules, breaking every rules. And we both decided we would have been kicked out of Japan, probably. But it tasted so good. It's like, why not? We can do a Natchez version of ramen.
Yes, pork belly, ginger, garlic ramen.
Yes.
How about that?
How about that?
Sounds good to me. All right, if you want more info about Regina, her cooking classes, recipes, or information about her books, it's at Regina's Kitchen online at reginaskitchen.com.
Yes, no apostrophe, just straight.
I see.
Straight
There's
through.
Yeah, just Reginas.
Yes.
Kitchen.com. And we thank you for coming, and we're so happy to see you again. It's been far too long, my friend.
So good to see y'all. All right. I'm going to keep score of when y'all are coming to Natchez.
And thanks for the biscuits. Deep South Dining is a production of Mississippi Public Broadcasting's Think Radio, and we are funded by generous contributions from listeners like yourself, and we thank you. Our show is produced by Marissa Vaughn for our very special guest, Regina Charboneau. My co-host, Carol Palmer. I'm Malcolm White. We ask you now to stay tuned for At Issue up next. Join us next Monday at 4 p.m. and every Monday at 4 p.m., except when we're not here and we're off, and every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for an encore show, and you can podcast us anywhere, anytime. Deep South Dining is heard only on MPB Think Radio.